All right, in this video, we're going to talk about old age and dying stars. All right, red giants and supergiants are old age stars. And that's because they have run out of hydrogen to fuse. And so they start fusing the next heaviest element, which is helium. Okay. Now, massive stars may fuse other elements, but they can only fuse elements up to iron. And therefore, elements heavier than iron cannot be formed in stars. So a star like the sun is going to start to fuse helium, going to fuse helium to carbon, but then it can't do anything else. So it's going to stop at that point and become a white dwarf. Other stars can fuse heavier ones, start fusing to carbon and so on, but once they get to iron, they're done. They can't fuse anything heavier. Now, how stars die? Small stars, like the sun, they collapse into white dwarfs. Okay, they have the mass of the sun, but they're only about as big as the Earth. So remember, we've done scale models before. If the sun was the size of this paper, the Earth would be just a tiny little dot. So you take all that mass and crunch it down into that tiny little spot to make a white dwarf. Now, more massive stars. When they run out of fuel, they collapse so fast their outer layers explode in a huge explosion called a supernova. They are millions of times brighter than the star at that point. They can even outshine their galaxy. Okay, for a short time with that explosion. And then elements heavier than iron can only be made in a supernova. And we know that we have elements heavier than iron. Which means that we are made of material. From an exploded star. All right, there's an expression, we are made of the dust of stars, and at least some of the elements in our body came from stars that had exploded. Medium mass stars, so 1.5 to 3 times the mass of the sun. Gravity crushes the protons and electrons together. And in neutrons, so the entire star is made of neutrons. And so we call that a neutron star. Okay, so they have about 2 times the mass of the sun, right? Somewhere between 1.5 and 3, but the area is only the size of a small city. So you take all the mass of that star and crunch it into something, smaller than Rochester. And 1 teaspoon of this stuff would weigh 100 million tons. And then high mass stars, so greater than 3 times the mass of the sun. Gravity crushes the star into a tiny little area, and we don't even know what that is. Gravity becomes so strong that light can't escape. And time stops. And you end up with a black hole. So that is how stars age and die.